Can Twitter help predict corporate earnings and stock performance? That's what a new report says. I'm joined now by Eli Bartov, a professor of accounting at NYU Stern School of Business, one of the co-authors of the report. And Professor, welcome. It's good to have you here.
Good to be here. Thank you.
Now, in full disclosure, I did go to NYU Stern. But Professor, I want to ask you, how can Twitter predict corporate earnings?
Well, it's grounded in the concept of wisdom of crowds, where the idea is that a group of diverse problem solvers can predict the outcomes better than experts. This was first documented by a statistician over 100 years ago, and we borrowed this concept to see whether tweets made by individuals about company corporate earnings can help investors predict the earnings outcome. And what we find is that the wisdom of crowds works, and that based on the tweets of these many independent and diverse individuals, investors can get a better idea about the corporate earnings than without them.
And in terms of using Twitter, what tips do you have for people? Because Twitter can also be a great source for breaking news, which could also move the stock price of various companies. Say a train derails, in a various city. That could move the stock for the rail companies.
Definitely. So Twitter may be used in many different ways. Definitely Twitter may be used to spread the breaking news. In our case, we actually focused on an event, the earning announcement, that is predictable. So people know in advance that the company is going to announce earnings at a specific day, and many tweets are being sent just a few days prior to the earning announcement, predicting what will be the outcome. So this is the focus of our paper, but of course there are many different ways to use Twitter, because the bottom line is that in order to invest wisely in the stock market as opposed to gamble, you need to base your investment decision on information. And there are many different sources of information, and it turns out that even tweets by individuals that may not have any special or knowledge or advantage may be useful.
But there's also a lot of noise on Twitter.
Definitely, there is a lot of noise, and this is why our research question in our study was interesting, because ex ante we were not sure that tweets will be helpful. Actually, there is many skeptics will argue that people may use Twitters to mislead investors. It's entirely possible that people will take a position in a stock, then tweet false information in order to pump up the stock price, sell the stock, and make profits on the expense of naive investors. And some people call the SEC to look into it and to regulate social media to prevent this behavior. Our study shows that this is not a real concern, and actually investors can use each other to share information for their mutual benefits.
All right, now for retail investors, how do you incorporate Twitter into your research? You say what you're talking about in the paper is more for the institutional investors, but for retail investors, do you think this is more of an additive component to the research? In other words, I'm not going to replace reading an earnings report with Twitter. I might read both to get the best sense of what the stock is going to do.
Absolutely. Twitter provides incremental information to many other sources that are available for investors. Now, you are correct that our methodology is very sophisticated, and investors will not be able to replicate our methodology in using Twitter information in the way we're using it. But still, even for the retail investors, our findings suggest that prior to earning announcement, they may look on tweets of their company of interest, eyeball them, and try to get a sense of what the majority of tweets saying, and act accordingly. Because the tweets not only predict the earnings outcome, they also predict the stock price changes around the earning announcement.
All right, Eli Bartov, a professor at NYU Stern, thanks very much for coming in.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm Scott Gamm, and you're watching The Street.